Greetings, my name is Paul Friedman. I'm the founder of the Marriage Foundation. Way after I was a divorce mediator, yes, that's what I used to do, until I discovered what marriage is all about. It's so beautiful. And I hope in this video to give you better direction than what you've had. The world is not a good teacher when it comes to marriage. So subscribe to this channel, learn about marriage the right way. If you have a question, you can go to our website and you could ask a counselor and you'll get the right advice, great direction. That's what we're all about. This topic is, my husband thinks I'm worthless, so I need 3 ideas to uplift my marriage. You see, the world is unkind. It's very judgmental. It's very critical. It's very competitive, but when we get married, we're supposed to leave those worldly attributes outside. Our marriage is supposed to be, I call it the sacred space of marriage. Sacred. It's where everything that takes place in there, it's not necessarily in hushed tones, but with reverence. We're supposed to honor our soulmate, ourselves, our environment, and behave in ways that we don't behave anywhere else. But we're not taught. It's really not his fault that he is so mean in his words to you. It's not your fault that whatever it was that you think may have provoked him, and by the way, it wasn't what you think you did that provoked him. That's not how it works. You see, marriages have to be, well, let's get into that after we address the topic. So you want 3 things that are going to really help you, and I'm going to give those to you now. But subscribe. 1, define what he means, but from his point of view. And I don't mean get to the bottom of it. He doesn't know either. I can tell you what his point of view is. And I'm going to share with you something that we don't consider, because we live our lives, and I'm not condemning you, I'm not criticizing you, but we're selfish. Because, and it's not your fault, it's not because we haven't learned any better, it's not because we're not good people, but we all have possessions. And these possessions, we don't think of them as possessions, and so they end up taking over our lives. You see, we as individuals, and this is not a religious conversation, we are souls. We are souls. Where do you think the term soulmate came from? It's not some fancy term from a greeting card company. We're souls. You don't go, I am my body, I and my body are one. You own the body, right? It's your possession. You're responsible to take care of it to the best of your ability, to feed it well, to make sure it's getting enough oxygen. It's your body. It's not you. The mind is not you either. We don't know this because the world is so afraid to speak openly about spiritual things, about metaphysical things, because everyone's afraid that they're selling a religion. I'm not selling you a religion. I'm merely describing the reality. Now, if it was Galileo's time, he decided to share a reality, and instead of killing him because he was so popular, they put him under house arrest for the rest of his life. He showed scientifically that this planet is not the center of the universe. Can you imagine now someone saying, oh, this planet is the center of the universe? People would laugh at them. We're advancing. We're also advancing metaphysically, spiritually. We know, for instance, now that sound travels in waves and things like that we never knew about. We didn't know about atoms and particles and protons and neutrons, but we do now. So we also are learning things that I'm going to share with you that the world at large does not know. That the mind is not you. The mind is yours. You have free will. Your mind does not have free will. You have free will, and you could tell your mind whatever you want to, and it must obey you. We don't learn this. In fact, people come up with the opposite thing. Like people say, oh, if I tell you not to think of an elephant, you're going to be thinking of elephants all day. That's not true. That's not true. You can tell your mind every time the thought of an elephant comes up, stop, don't think about it, and it won't. You're in charge of your mind. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. You also possess a body. The body belongs to you. You know that. But think about what the body is. You know all of this from biology, by the way. I'm just going to connect the dots for you. Your body is comprised of trillions of cells. We know that. The cells, each one has an intelligence. No, it's not smart, but it has an intelligence, and they work together. As a body, they develop these processes, and they function in harmony. Now, we also know that every single one of those cells is alive. Define alive. It means that innately it has the drive to survive. Every single one of those cells. And they're all working in harmony. But there's nothing they can do because it's part of the body, mind, and soul complex. Who's in charge? Well, you, the soul, are supposed to be in charge, but we're not taught that growing up. We're taught, oh, you have to learn to behave, but that's about it. We are not taught that we have the ability and the obligation to control the mind, to control which thoughts we're going to think, which feelings we're going to feel, which instinctive reactions that are coming originally from the body's drive to survive, which ones we're going to identify with and relate to. We're in charge of all that. So, you're driving on the highway and you see something about to jump in front of you. Instinctively, you stop, you hit the brakes. Instinctively, kind of. What really happened was your mind calculated sometime in the past that if something jumps in front of your car, you better stop fast. So we call it instinct. That's fine. The point is, it's in the mind without thought. But then when we see, no, we're going to miss it, we are making the judgment call to just drive around it, and the body is still nervous. It's still uptight. Why? Because the software, the emotions have taken over. So we have to learn how to control the mind. This is not something talked about. You cannot really be truly happy until you learn how to control your mind. That's a fact. So, your husband is saying to you, you're worthless. Now that's not factually accurate. There's a lot of parts to you that are far from worthless. What's really happening is he's blabbing out, and I'm not putting him down, he's blabbing out a feeling that is being redefined in a way that is intended to hurt you in order to get your intention and all your attention, and all of that is happening subconsciously. It's like a child. When you see a child throwing something at somebody, you don't go, oh, what an evil child. No, you recognize what's driving that child, who is not controlling their mind, who has no control over their emotions, and you take that into deep consideration. So what I'm saying, the first step for you in this situation is to detach yourself from what he's saying, how he's saying it, because he's just being reactive because of his drive to survive. Understand that. Don't try to get to the bottom of it. Don't ask him, why do you think so? That's not going to get you anywhere. That's just going to create more and more drama. Don't do that. Our effort is in marriage. What is our effort for in marriage? What do we want in marriage? Happiness. So whatever you're going to do in response, it should be for the purpose of achieving happiness, his and yours. Yes. Number 2, recognize his complaints as deeper than what the words convey. And I'm sorry, but I already went into that with number 1, and that is very important to do, to recognize from your point of view as a soul. Be compassionate and understanding. Don't take it personally, because he can't attack you. You're a soul. You're free from any threat. You're one with God. You're a soul. I am love itself. I am a soul. And that is the attitude that you should have. Not one of arrogance. Oh, I'm so great. I'm one with God. No, no. I'm free from the distractions of this world, because I am going to root my consciousness in love. Love, joy. Those are the attributes, the natural attributes of the soul. You already have them, but you're distracted by the mind's mumbo jumbo. Number 3, become, and this is where the rubber hits the road. You cannot deal with what he said. Let it go. Instead, put your energy and your effort on number 3. Become the ideal soulmate. The ideal soulmate is one who what? Who infuses their marriage with love, who loves him unconditionally. You know, if you were to take the course for women, and I highly recommend it, if you were to take the course for women, I identify the prime directive that you have as an individual who is married to your soulmate. That prime directive is to learn how to love unconditionally. That's right. That's why we get married. We don't get married just to have kids, or so that 2 of us can share expenses. Those are so mundane. We get married in order to be fulfilled. Remember that excitement that you felt when you first met your husband? You met your soulmate. You don't know that. You may have said, oh, he's my soulmate, but you don't even know really what that means. We're not taught. It's not your fault. Where do we get educated about marriage? And now I'm starting to get into about marriage, because this is important. And you know, if you're a psychologist and you do couples counseling, or you are a clergy and you help couples, you should really consider becoming a TMF marriage counselor, so you have this real information to help your clients. We want you to be part of us. But what we teach is the real deal. Why did you get married? You got married in order to be happy. That was what you knew would happen intuitively. You didn't have a diagram of what's going to happen once you're married and how that's going to lead to happiness, how that's going to lead to love. You don't have a diagram for that, or you would have been living it. You should have had a diagram. You should have learned. There's 2 main things one must learn in order to have a truly successful marriage. Yes, only, and that's the approach we take. Number 1, you got to learn how to master your mind. You have to, and it's so not taught. There used to be things out there when I was a kid, I can't even remember the names of them, for taking charge of your mind, but we teach it, and we even have this incredible technique. I feel it was given to me by God to share with others, the SO technique, to help you master your mind. What's the soul all about? Love and joy. Can't go wrong, right? So you got to learn how to master the mind. Number 2, you got to learn the rules of the road. You wouldn't get into a car to drive it if you hadn't gotten an education about how to drive a car. Because if you did, you'd have wrapped it around the tree. Well, guess what? The statistics say that like 52% plus of people who get married get a divorce. And how many of those who stay together are suffering? How many people do you know who are truly happily married? Not many. And yet, you can learn how. It's not mystical. It's reality. And that's what we teach. That's why we are here. We get married in order to be happy. You got married in order to be happy. Yes, you fell in love. Of course. That's how you knew, this is my soulmate. They didn't just happen to appear. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a setup. Why? Because God loves us. He wants you to be happy. He wouldn't have given you the knowledge of happiness and not the tools to achieve happiness. We don't live under a dictatorial God. We live within a loving God. Again, this is not a religious discussion. It's just the way it is. You have felt unbounded joy. You have felt unbounded love. That is you, the soul. But we get sucked down, and we have to learn to rise above that in order to experience true happiness. Look, if you have a question, you could write into us. You go to the website and we have an Ask a Counselor page, which gives you tons of information. We have articles, testimonials, we have videos galore. We're here for you. Take advantage of us. That's what we want. I hope you like this video. We like to see those likes. We hope that this was useful for you. Leave a comment, and God bless you. We want you to get what God wants you to have. Joy, love. That's what we want for you. I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation. God bless you. Take care.